President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has survived a vote of no confidence in the European Parliament. 175 MEPs voted to remove her. 185 MEPs either abstained or simply did not turn up. And 360 voted to keep her. To actually topple the Commission, 2/3 of the Parliament, which is around 480 votes, would have been needed to back her removal. If that happened, von der Leyen and her entire commission of 26 commissioners would have been forced to resign. The entire EU executive would have collapsed, and it would have meant total paralysis in Brussels. So yes, she survived, and while she technically won by a lot, this still isn't a good day for von der Leyen. She ends the week weakened and faces serious political consequences. So let's break down what actually happened. It all started with a mostly unknown Romanian politician, Gheorghe Piperea, from the far-right AUR party. He filed the motion of no confidence, saying von der Leyen no longer has the trust of the parliament. Piperea sits with the ECR group. That's the right-wing conservative bloc in the European Parliament. And his motion focused on 3 big accusations. First, Pfizergate. The motion claimed von der Leyen wasn't being transparent, specifically about her text messages with Pfizer CEO during the COVID vaccine negotiations. The Commission refused to release these messages, and the EU's General Court basically said, actually, you kinda have to. It's still an ongoing saga. Second, misusing EU emergency powers. The motion accused the Commission of bending the rules to push through a €150 billion defense fund without even consulting the Parliament. The legal tool the Commission used is only meant for economic emergencies, and according to the motion, that doesn't justify massive military spending. Third, meddling in national elections. The motion also claimed the Commission interfered in German and Romanian elections, using the new digital rules to pressure certain political voices. The motion framed it as an abuse of power and a threat to national democracy. And based on all that, Piperea and his motion demanded that von der Leyen and her entire Commission resign. And to everyone's surprise, he actually got the support needed to trigger the vote. To table a motion of no confidence in the European Parliament, you need 72 MEP signatures, and Piperea got 79. So on Monday the 7th of July, Ursula von der Leyen was hauled in front of the Parliament, where she had to defend her presidency in front of all 720 MEPs, ahead of the final vote on the 10th. And it was quite a spectacle.
We can clearly call this out for what it is. Another crude attempt to drive a wedge between our institutions, between the pro-Europeans, pro-democratic forces of this House, and we can never let this happen. We will never let this happen.
As expected, the far-right groups, the Patriots and the European Sovereignists, were not impressed, and they fired back hard.
Under your authority, the Commission has become basically the extended arm of corporations, foreign entities, sometimes far removed from our civilization. You talk about transition, but millions of Europeans are experiencing this as punishment.
Their voting matched their voice. Most MEPs in those groups voted for von der Leyen's removal. On the other end of the spectrum, some in the left group also voted for von der Leyen's removal. But most interesting, though, was the ECR group, the right-wing conservatives.
Obviously, I won't be able to speak today on behalf of the whole group, but I will be able to do so on behalf of the 2/3 of the ECR colleagues who did not sign the motion, because, like me, they consider this motion to be a mistake. It is a great gift to our political opponents.
The main parties in the ECR group are Meloni's Brothers of Italy, Poland's PiS, and Romania's AUR. And if you remember from the start of the video, this entire motion came from an MEP in the AUR group. The far-right AUR, together with the right-wing Peace Party, voted in favor of removing von der Leyen, but Meloni's Brothers of Italy didn't, and refused to support the motion. So yeah, the ECR is not speaking in one voice, and I really wonder why the AUR has not moved to a group further to the right. The EPP, the center-right party that von der Leyen comes from, puts up a valiant defense. But to be honest, they were the only ones really standing by her.
In a few days, Donald Trump's tariff pause will end. Millions of jobs are at risk. Where are the MAGA friends in this house? Where is Orban, Salvini and Alice Weidel doing to save the job of Europeans, ? I tell you, Maros Šefčovič and Ursula von der Leyen are defending the jobs of Europeans. That's why the motion of censure is taking the citizens' interests at risk.
The EPP's coalition partners, the SD and Renew Europe, were not so keen to defend von der Leyen. Garcia, from the Socialists, made it clear. Von der Leyen's support is not guaranteed and can be lost. You see, while the SD, Renew and the Greens did end up voting against the motion, they're increasingly frustrated with how things are going, especially because Manfred Weber and the EPP have been pushing through legislation, not with their progressive coalition partners, but by cutting deals with parties further to the right.
You've referred to an impasse for your political group because the EPP has been making alliances of convenience with the far right. Who are your real allies in this parliament, I would ask you?
For example, most recently, EPP leader Manfred Weber backs a new NGO scrutiny body, a committee that will investigate how EU money is spent by non-governmental organizations. It was pushed through with the support from the Patriots and the ECR, not the usual liberal or socialist allies. So, that's an overview of how everyone voted, and there are a few key takeaways. First, the political center is still holding, but just barely. The Social Democrats even considered abstaining, and von der Leyen had to make a major 11th-hour concession, promising to keep the European Social Fund, worth around 140 billion euros, in the EU budget. And that ultimately secured the S&D support. Second, there's still no appetite to reveal the full story behind Pfizergate. Von der Leyen did actually spend more time than ever publicly defending the Pfizer text message saga, but gave little new information. She insisted that the idea that national governments were left in the dark about vaccine deals or costs was simply, in her own words, a lie. And third, the EU's right-wing conservative camp is deeply divided. Nicola Procaccini, co-chair of the ECR group and part of the Italian Brothers of Italy, even lashed out at his own camp, especially the Polish PiS and the Romanian AUR delegation, who had backed the no-confidence motion. He called the motion a strategic mistake, arguing it would only help the Greens and the Socialists regroup under the so-called Ursula majority, just as a broader center-right alliance was starting to gain ground. Here is what I think. This was not a good day for the European Union. I honestly do not understand how anyone thought they'd gain from von der Leyen's downfall, especially right now. As Procaccini himself pointed out, the right-wing and far-right factions have more influence in the European Parliament than ever before. A no-confidence vote doesn't strengthen that, it only weakens it. And if von der Leyen had actually lost, the EU would have been thrown into at least 6 months of paralysis. No functioning commission, no clear leadership. All while Russia keeps attacking Ukraine, the EU struggles with competitiveness, and Trump is threatening with tariffs. Right now, a dysfunctional EU helps no one. A big shout out to our official partner, BrandSnap. Did you know that 70% of the top-selling household brands in European supermarkets are owned by US companies? Yeah, I'd love to see that number come down a bit. That's why I've started using this new app called BrandSnap, and it's actually kind of genius. You just go into a store, snap a picture of any product, say a bottle of Coke, and it tells you where it's from and shows you European alternatives. In this case, maybe Fritz Cola from Germany instead. And it's not just the big brands. I even tried it on a random soya sauce I found, and it worked. The app can recognize basically any product, and it's built around a database managed by Go European, a non-profit that tracks and promotes European-made goods. And yes, the app itself is European too. You can download it completely free using my link below. And if you feel like supporting the project and this channel, there's an optional donation feature inside the app. A portion of it goes to the non-profit Go European, another one to the app creators, and the rest helps creators like me keep doing what we are doing. So check the link in the description and give it a try. And thank you so much to our presidents, Jan Schauke, Kristen, Peter, HEVD, Daniel, Unite Europe, Stefan, and Mr. Probot, and our very newest president, Rashid. Thank you so much for supporting us.